back to SportsKhabri with me, Rishi and Adi, and we are entering that exciting stage of the IPL season, the playoffs. RCB against all odds have made it into the playoffs. Rishi, unfortunately, it wasn't to be for Dhoni, and it wasn't good enough to get the job done in the end. It's kind of sad, but yeah, I've seen some really sad CSK fans, which has been pretty fun. But yeah, that's that. Again, the Rajasthan Royals, a lot of people expected them to go through and finish in the top two quite comfortably. 4 in a row they've lost, and their final game, yeah, it got washed out. So they finished below the Sunrisers. That means that the RCB and RR will be playing the eliminator. The first qualifier will be played between the Kolkata Knight Riders and the Sunrisers Hyderabad. Did you expect this to look like this, or did you expect RR to potentially finish in the top two, or CSK to finish above RCB?
I mean, the kind of form that RR have been in lately has, it's taken me by surprise. Like the way they started off the season, like I remember talking with you, and we couldn't find pretty much any weaknesses in that team. Like they look the most balanced, they look the most aggressive. Even if their plan A didn't seem to go according to them, they had enough backup plans. They looked like a real team that had the most intent, that was the most efficient in carrying out executing their plans. But lately it's not even the departure of Josh Butler. Even before that, the slump had started. Like much before that, also like their downward form, and like much to the contrary of RCB picking up form in the most perfect time in the league. Like RR have been in a downward slump at the most awkward and unfortunate time for them. So unless they come up with something real soon, it's not looking good for them. And they're like you could have said that their advantage all this while was that they could most likely be playing in the qualifier instead of the eliminator. But after yesterday's results, that has also somehow changed. So for them now, it's like you fix it in one day or they're going home, despite looking like the clear-cut favorites to win the league all season.
Yeah, I swear. And I think let's talk about that important game first, the game between RCB and RR, the eliminator. The loser goes home, of course. Without Butler, are RCB favorites first?
Yeah, I mean, if you take in form and, RR losing, their main batsman in Butler, you could tell that, RCB will be the favorites to go, especially beating all the top teams in the past 6 games, when it comes to, your league. They beat SRH, they beat GT, they beat even, CSK last night. They were first. So in terms of form, I would, say RCB going into the playoffs are the, hot favorites from my side. But again, Rajasthan, it's going to be a neutral venue. So we'll be playing it in Ahmedabad. It's a slow track, and we know they have good spinners in terms of Chahal and Ashwin. That can be important for them also with Trent Bolt there. The bowling lineup is still pretty strong. So, again, as I said before, like it depends on the toss and how each team perform in their batting. Because, for example, Rajasthan ball first and, they get RCB out for a low score. They don't have much pressure with their batting. They still have talent there with, Jaiswal, Parag, Hetmeyer, and, even Rojurel, who can actually chase it down for them. So in terms of batting, I still think they're not that weak in terms of if they can get a low score for themselves and, chase it down. They still looks like a solid team. So it depends on the toss, in my opinion.
Are you saying slow? But Rishi, last couple of games at Ahmedabad have gone for more than 200 runs. Where's this game won or lost for either team? Because if it is going to be batting friendly, and if we see the scores that we have seen at Ahmedabad, which is a lot of 200 plus scores, don't you think RC have a bit of an advantage because Jaiswal hasn't done particularly well? Samson was good in the first half and now is sort of fallen off. Rayan Parag has probably been their most consistent player. On the other hand, you've got an entire RCB team that is contributing to the runs.
Exactly. So, at RCB, you have like 3 or 4 batsmen who can provide at least 30-40 good runs. And that, and by that, I mean not just 30-40 runs, at least that much can be expected safely from them. And the others, building up on that. Whereas, that used to be the case for RR, where it was not just a Butler performance. There used to be Samson coming in, chipping in. There was Rayan Parag coming in, chipping in. And Jaiswal also, one of the odd games he used to come and perform. But now, I think the last game, this Kohler Cadmore and who was the other replacement? I think Donovan Ferreira played, and they're both not anywhere near the quality of the replaced players. And I don't know how they are going to, make up for those lack of runs. Who's going to step up? But someone has to step up real good for them. And maybe it's Samson, and maybe it's Parag, but I feel it's just too much on those one player's shoulders alone. I think the other players who've not yet stepped up as much has to do more and contribute now that the team is in desperate need for it.
Yeah, exactly. And RCB, all the momentum at the end. Anything that they need to change or they need to improve, we know that Maxwell is going to play instead of Will Jacks. Anything that you think they need to really look at, or just play the same team, do the same stuff. Kant Sharma is a talking point. I think one of the bowlers who, let's say, has not been good enough. Yeah. Anything else that you think they need to look at?
I mean, you can't do anything about it. I mean, this is the 11, 12 players they have, and they'll have to go with that. I mean, you can't have a shout for anyone else to come in anyways, right? Even if you want Kyle Sharma to go out, you can't get a replacement there anyways. And if you want, again, Maxwell is the only option in, as the all-rounder with spinner, etc. Like losing Will Jacks, we don't have any other options. So I think plus winning 6 games on the trot, you can't expect RCB to change anything anymore. They found their own winning formula, and think we have to just stick to it. And as I said before, like when it comes to playoffs, it depends on the quality of players, right? So you can always it's always a one-off game. If form when it's a playoffs, form to an extent goes out also. You can talk about RCB's form. As I said, I back them based on form, but we've seen in the playoffs, right? The top teams generally also have not been able to win the IPL. So when it comes to playoffs, you expect these players to, back themselves and play well. We saw that even in the WPL, where like RCB had not had the best team in terms of, players, etc. You would have said, Delhi, Mumbai would have been the favorites to go in the WPL or at least go to the finals. But you could see that small contribution from each player, help them, go towards the finals, push the finals, even when the finals. So that's the same ideology I would think for RCB also to, apply in, because again, when you see, I feel like it's a similar journey. You've gotten players like Will Jacks, like Partider, like even Maxwell in the form he's been. They came over the past 5-6 games and all contributed in their own way. When you talk about Cameron Green, he's also been silently been very consistent, both with bowling and batting and fielding especially. So all these small contribution I think will help, and that's what my winning formula would be for us. Then I think that's what they should take in when it comes to the playoffs.
Yeah, and Rishi, with regards to the RR bowling, just too much pressure on Trent Bolt possibly. Is he getting enough help from the rest, especially in a game at Ahmedabad? You think it'll be just way too much for him to do alone? And same thing with Samson, way too much for him to do with the bat, and that would, I think, ultimately favor us.
I mean, to an extent, yeah. But I wouldn't say that to a large degree also, because Trent Bolt has been a seasoned veteran, and he's right now, it's not just him relying on his experience. He's on top of his game also. And Sandeep Sharma has been, ever since he's back from his injury, he's been chipping in as well.
Yeah.
And when you look at the spinners, yes, of course, lately they haven't been doing well, but they are quite experienced. They have that, they've been there before. Players like Ashwin, players like Chahal, they can cut down the runs in the middle over. So I wouldn't be too concerned about their bowling attack. And also Avesh Khan is really good at clamping down on runs, although he might not be your lethal wicket taker like your Trent Bolts or Bumrahs. He really bowls wicket to wicket, bowls that tight line and length, which controls the run flow. So I wouldn't say it's too restrictive. For me, it would be more dependent on the run getting from an RR perspective.
Yeah. Fair enough. So, but RCB favorites for you?
Yeah. I think RCB going into the fixture are heavy favorites for me, just by the form that they've carried towards leading up to this game, and on the contrary, what RR have been facing recently, especially with their downward slump and their loss of Ross Butler. And you see, most of their batsmen, except for Jaiswal, I think right now will be a right-handed batsman. And even if you are to play Karan Sharma, you'll have two like left arm or like
Yeah.
one leg spinner and a left arm orthodox who's going to come and turn it out. You see, Catmore got out through Rahul Chair in the last game, and I think Powell also got out to Rahul Chair. So I think the spinners are going to come clutch for them. But although, like, I want to chip in that I don't feel the necessity to actually play Karan Sharma as much because last game RCB used 7 players and 7 bowlers, and Karan Sharma got 1 over. Like I
Yeah.
don't know how helpful that was. Like you have 6 bowlers, all of whom at this point I feel can bowl a solid 4 overs. So even if you want
Yeah.
one bowler to contribute less, the other person's more than happy to take up.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I don't think he is someone who is absolutely vital to the 11. So I think he's a very dispensable, like disposable player who, if you need an extra batting option without thinking twice, you can just
That's true.
play.
That's true. I think the only reason they want to go with Khan Sharma is because, of course, he's the only spin option that you have, and you just want that extra option if ever it could come of use. Yeah, I think the other thing I think is Cameron Green is not yet a 4 overs bowler, although he's bowled really well. I think he's been brilliant last couple of games with the
He's
boys.
like
So
like we said, like he was keeping the runs down. And see,
exactly,
even if
just
you
hitting
want
the
two
leg.
overs, you have Swapnil who can bowl the other
Yeah.
2 overs, and even if Siraj or Lockie Ferguson, like you can do your chopping and changing, and you can fit 20 overs with 5 or 6 bowlers
Yeah.
comfortably.
And I think with the number of righties that they have in the middle order,
Exactly.
you've got the option of bowling 4 overs, Swapnil bowling 4 overs as
Swapnil,
well.
exactly,
So
exactly.
yeah, it's quite interesting to see what will happen. Adi, the last time I don't remember the last time KKR played a full 20-over game. It's been a while now. So KKR SRH is a weird one to really think about. What happens here?
I mean, I would say SRH is going to win this easily. In terms of KKR's batting lineup, I just don't think it's great. I mean, you can say they've scored a lot of runs over the season. It's been in places where, Eden Gardens, have played majority of games there. This is not Eden Gardens anymore, right? And I still don't think Ahmedabad pitch is going to be as easy to hit as it was, as you said, the last two games where RCB scored 200, and I don't remember the other team that scored 200, but yeah, but I still expect Ahmedabad to be a bit more slower because I'm sure it's been raining there for a lot also. Plus, I just expect them to, I don't know, just from what I've seen over the past few seasons, like I just expect it to be tough conditions to bat on. And in terms of KKR's batting lineup, I just don't think they're great enough for T20. You can say that they've lost Phil Salt also. So I'm not sure who's going to come in for Phil Salt. Maybe it's the Gurbaz. Narayan Gurbaz opening. I feel like if you get early wickets, they're still going to crumble down. Looking at Shreyas Iyer, I don't think he's really a T20 player where like I would expect him to lead a team to score 180, 200 right there. With Venkatesh Iyer also the same thing. I just think it's a playoffs, it's a different level and it's a different mentality. I think SRH with Cummins captaincy, and they've been informed, the team, and the batting lineup balance is pretty decent in my opinion. In terms of the bowling, also, I just prefer them over, KKR because looking at the team, I'm just not that sure about KKR, especially even momentum. As I don't think they played last two games also, right? And I just don't think, in my opinion, they're gonna take a huge. I mean, they basically get a bit dominated by SRH.
Yeah, Rishi, Phil Salt, big miss for KKR. And like I said, we haven't seen them play in a while, so I don't know what their opening combination is going to be without Salt. Like Adi said, probably Himadullah
I
Gurbaz comes.
can't even think of who is gonna come in. Like probably a Raminullah Gurwas
Yeah,
will
it
come,
will
but
be
we haven't
Himadullah
seen
Gurbaz, I
him
think.
play at all.
Yeah,
So yeah, like Adi said, we haven't seen them play for a while now, and yeah, like I too am not entirely convinced of how like KKR have been there, and they've somehow on top of the table also. So it's not like throughout the one team. If you were to ask me like a couple of days before or a couple of weeks before, also I would have said RR are still convincing number one and they deserve to win. But then you see, like KKR have somehow like managed to stay there, like get there and keep their position. So you have to give them that credit. You can't completely rule them out. But that's KKR have been one team where like that haven't, completely convinced me. Like you have like players coming in and hitting, like giving those 40s, 50, like those 30s and 40s. Like you see Nitish Rana, you see Venkatesh Iyer, they come in and chip in and give those extra, just about those extra 30-40 runs, that they sum up a total. Like it's not very convincing, but they always somehow just manage to get the job done. So like, yeah, that's I don't know how else to summarize KKR, but then to say they've always somehow managed to get the job done. So like, just for that matter alone, I think SRH would just about edge through, but I wouldn't write them KKR like I wouldn't write them away at all.
Fair enough. We know how SRH are going to operate. They don't care about how much they concede with the ball. Clearly, they don't. But they know they can dominate with the bat. Adi, you see Abhishek Sharma and Travis Head doing what they've done throughout most of the season.
I mean, that's what I'd expect, right? I mean, again, since the starting of the season, it's been the same philosophy with both of them. Go from the first ball. Don't look at the baller. Just look at their intent and, bat. And it's worked out well for them, right? Only team that scored a lot of runs over. I mean, the partnership also the highest opening partnership this season. Plus, we've seen how many times they scored 200 and even chased 200 with ease. So I'd expect the same from them to go again, from the get-go. But also when I look at SRH, I look at the other players, in terms of Nitish Reddy, in terms of class, and they've also chipped in a lot of runs, in the middle overs, etc. whenever they lose certain wickets. Only thing for me is I hope Markram comes back, because I think he gives a bit of stability in terms of, number 3, number 4. Yesterday they played Tripathi, he also looked pretty good. So I just still think Markram coming back would help. But if the thing with SRH is it depends on how they go. So for example, I think they might end up getting Tripathi, forward, taking them forward. He'll be the number 3 because Markram hasn't played for the last few games. I think they want an extra bowling option, in my opinion. So that's one thing I'm like, hopefully they get back Markram in, because he just has that experience, in my opinion. And he's also pretty clutch. I still believe in tough situations, he shows like a lot of class. That's something I would hope them to do. But apart from that, even the players such as Habaz, and also Abdul Samad and Nitish Reddy have also shined a lot over the past few games. And that's what I look at them, because, anyone and everyone has the same philosophy of, I don't care who you are, I'm still going to smack you out of the park. And you could see that yesterday also. It was the same philosophy. It was like, I'm going. So that's something that's impressed me, and that philosophy, I think they've been going to do it continuously. The thing that's why I say, because when I look at KKR, it's about the first 2 openers are the only one who go aggressive. Apart from that, they have slow players. I feel like even Venkatesh Iyer takes time. Sometimes he's inconsistent. Sometimes he scores. I mean, he goes blistering pace. Sometimes he takes his time, and same with Shreyas Iyer also. He takes a lot of time. So I just feel like this philosophy edge is just, in terms of confidence, this is going to boost them.
Okay, so SRH for you, Adi.
Yeah.
Yeah, Rishi, SRH.
Yeah, I think SRH just about does the job.
Oh, it's interesting. I actually think it's going to be KKR, but yeah, I think it's just for the reasons that the bowlers are going to give them a slightly different challenge. Playing Narayan is not going to be easy. Varun Chakravarti, these guys will probably pose Abhishek Sharma. The 2 lefties at the top, I think, will
exactly.
Against
they might just even go with both the spinners.
Exactly, to open the bowling. You can probably say Narayan at the top would be an interesting challenge. But yeah, I think KKR, both of you say SRH. So, and RCB, right, unanimously for the RR game. So, yep, according to us, at least Rishi and Adi say that it'll be an RCB versus KKR qualifier 2, while SRH make it to the final and RR get knocked out in this stage as well itself. So yeah, that's our predictions for the first couple of games in the playoffs. We'll be back after these games are done to see what will happen after that. Yeah, thanks guys for joining in. Like and share all the videos, guys, and subscribe to SportsKhabri. See you.